Have you ever noticed something that makes no sense? The nicest guy in the room gets ignored. He's respectful, he's kind, he's loyal. He would treat her like a queen, but she walks right past him and goes straight to the guy who's talking to 3 other girls. The guy who doesn't text back, the guy who's clearly not serious, the guy everyone warns her about. And you're standing there thinking, what does he have that I don't? I'll tell you what he has. He has something you lost the moment you decided to play it safe. He has uncertainty, and uncertainty is the drug that creates addiction. This is not about all women. This is about attraction, and attraction doesn't follow the rules you were taught. It follows patterns that are darker, deeper, and more primal than anyone wants to admit. Here's the truth that will make you uncomfortable. Women say they want a good guy, but they're attracted to the playboy. Not because he's good for them, but because he makes them feel something the good guy never will. He makes them feel alive. Let me paint you a scene. 2 guys at a party. First guy sees a girl he likes. He walks up, he compliments her immediately. He asks about her interests, he listens carefully. He makes it clear he's interested. She's polite, she talks to him, but her eyes are already scanning the room. Second guy sees the same girl. He doesn't approach immediately. He talks to other women first. When he finally talks to her, he teases her. He disagrees with something she says. He doesn't compliment her. He walks away mid-conversation to talk to someone else. Guess which one she's thinking about when she goes home? The second, because the first guy gave her everything. No mystery, no challenge, no chase. The second guy gave her nothing, and that nothing created everything. This is the brutal truth. Women are not attracted to men who make them feel comfortable. Women are attracted to men who make them feel uncertain. Now, before you get angry, let me explain the psychology. When a woman meets a nice guy who's clearly interested, her brain does this. He's available, he wants me, I could have him anytime, there's no risk of loss, therefore there's no urgency, therefore there's no excitement. When a woman meets a playboy, her brain does this. He has options. He doesn't need me. Other women want him. I might lose him to someone else. I need to compete. I need to prove I'm special. And that competition creates obsession. Here's why this happens. Women are biologically wired to compete for high-value men. A man who has options signals high value. A man who doesn't need her signals high status. A man other women want triggers her competitive instinct. And playboys signal all 3. Not because they're actually high value, but because their behavior creates the perception of high value. And in attraction, perception is reality. Now here's where it gets controversial. The playboy doesn't treat her better. He treats her worse. He texts back late. He cancels plans. He's vague about his feelings. He keeps her guessing. And every single one of those things increases her attraction. Why? Because unpredictability triggers dopamine. Dopamine is the chemical of anticipation, not satisfaction. When she knows what the nice guy will do, her dopamine flatlines. When she doesn't know what the playboy will do, her dopamine spikes. And dopamine creates addiction. She becomes addicted to the uncertainty, to the chase, to the feeling of maybe winning him over. Let me show you how this plays out. Nice guy texts, "Good morning, beautiful. Hope you have an amazing day. Thinking about you." She reads it and thinks, "That's sweet." Then she forgets about it. Playboy texts, "Crazy night, just woke up." She reads it and thinks, who was he with? What was he doing? Why didn't he text me earlier? And she can't stop thinking about it. Same amount of effort, completely different results, because the nice guy gave her certainty. The playboy gave her questions, and questions create obsession. Here's another brutal truth. Women don't want to be the only option. They want to be the chosen option. When a nice guy makes her his only focus, she feels no accomplishment in having him. When a playboy has multiple options and she's competing for his attention, winning feels like a victory. And humans are wired to value what they had to work for. This is why women stay with playboys even when they know they're being played, because walking away feels like losing, and her ego won't let her lose. She thinks, I can be the one who changes him. I can be different from the other girls. If I just try harder, he'll choose me. And that delusion keeps her hooked. Now let's talk about what playboys do that nice guys don't. Playboys create scarcity. They're busy, they're unavailable, they have plans, and scarcity creates value. When you're always available, you're not valuable. When you're rarely available, every moment with you becomes precious. Playboys don't seek approval. They don't ask, "Do you like me? Are we okay? What are you thinking?" They just exist. And that confidence is magnetic, because confidence signals that he doesn't need her validation, and women are attracted to men who don't need them. Playboys set the frame. They decide when to meet. They decide what to do. They lead. Nice guys ask, "What do you want to do? Where do you want to go? Whatever makes you happy." And that flexibility signals weakness, because leaders don't ask permission. They decide and invite others to follow. Playboys have abundance mentality. They know they have options, so they're never desperate, never clingy, never needy. And that non-neediness is the most attractive quality a man can have, because neediness repels, abundance attracts. Here's what most men don't understand. The Playboy isn't playing a game. He's just living his truth. He actually does have options. He actually is busy. He actually doesn't need her. That authenticity is what makes it work. When nice guys try to act like Playboys, it fails, because it's not authentic. It's a performance, and women can smell performance from a mile away. Now here's the dark part. Women know Playboys are bad for them. They know he's not going to commit. They know he's talking to other girls. They know they'll probably get hurt, but they do it anyway. Why? Because logic doesn't control attraction, emotion does. And emotionally, the Playboy makes her feel more alive than the safe guy ever will. The highs are higher. When he does pay attention to her, it feels special. When he does choose her over other options, it feels validating. When he does show vulnerability, it feels like a privilege. Everything feels amplified, because it's rare. The nice guy gives constant attention, so his attention has no value. The Playboy gives sporadic attention, so his attention feels like gold. This is basic economics, supply and demand. High supply, low demand equals low value. Low supply, high demand equals high value. And Playboys understand this instinctively. Now, let's talk about what happens when she finally gets the Playboy to commit. Usually, she loses interest. Why? Because the chase is over, the uncertainty is gone. He's no longer the prize. He's now the boyfriend who texts good morning, who's available, who's predictable. And that predictability kills the attraction. This is why you see women leave good relationships for toxic ones. Not because the toxic guy is better, but because the toxic guy makes her feel something the good guy stopped making her feel: uncertainty. Here's what this means for you. You don't have to become a Playboy, but you do have to understand what makes them attractive and apply those principles without becoming toxic. Be busy with your own life, have hobbies, have goals, have a mission. Don't make her your entire world. Maintain your options. Even if you're not pursuing other women, live like a man who could. Stay in shape, stay social, stay improving. Don't seek her validation. Don't ask if she likes you. Don't need her approval. Be confident in your value. Set the frame. Lead. Decide. Don't always ask what she wants. Tell her what you're doing and invite her along. Create scarcity. Don't always be available. Have a life that sometimes conflicts with her schedule. And don't apologize for it. Be unpredictable. Don't fall into routines. Mix things up. Surprise her. Keep her guessing. Not in a manipulative way, but in a way that keeps the relationship fresh. Here's the reality. Nice guys finish last not because they're nice, but because they're boring, they're predictable, they're safe, they're comfortable. And comfortable doesn't create attraction. Tension creates attraction. Mystery creates attraction. Challenge creates attraction. The Playboy provides all three, not because he's trying, but because he genuinely doesn't care if she stays or goes. And that indifference is the ultimate aphrodisiac. Here's the final truth. You can be a good man and still create attraction. You can be loyal and still be exciting. You can be respectful and still be challenging. But you cannot be needy and attractive. You cannot be predictable and exciting. You cannot be desperate and desired. So choose. Be the nice guy who gets ignored, or be the valuable man who gets chosen. Not because you're playing games, but because you know your worth and you live like it. Women love Playboys because Playboys understand something most men don't.
Attraction is not about what you give, it's about what you withhold. It's not about how available you are, it's about how valuable your time is. It's not about how much you need her, it's about how little you do. Master that, and you won't need to be a playboy. You'll just be a man women can't ignore.